I know everyone's probably got a lot of questions about Andrew. You know, it's a tough situation in that, again, out of respect for the family, I'm not able to provide any information right now other than to say, you know, he won't be playing. And, you know, we're hopeful to be able to communicate more moving forward. But again, out of respect for the family, that's all I can say.
Shaka, I do need to ask this though. Do you have an athlete in the hospital right now?
Again, out of respect for the family, I can't answer that.
Okay.
And again, I may be limited, but do you expect him back at some time this season at this point? Do you have that information?
That's not even what we're focused on right now, Chuck. So, you know, we're focused on the young man.
You said after the Baylor game, you and Matt were going to have to sit down and have a long discussion.
Yeah.
You know, what came out of that, or have you had that yet, and what do you want to see from him moving forward?
Just, you know, there's two things that I asked Matt, you know, going into this year to focus on. And obviously as a freshman point guard, you get hit with, instead of 2 things, 2 million things from, you know, all around. But I said, you know, to boil it all down, Matt, you and I need to be connected, and you need to play, we need to get you to play with a level of joy on the floor, because over the years when I've watched him play, when he's playing with just that's the best word I can use, just a joy and excitement out there. He's always been really good. Again, over the years, he's had stretches where he, you know, feels pressure or tense or putting pressure on himself, or for whatever reason a little down. He hasn't been as good. So I've witnessed that in him, and I've told him there's going to be many, many times over the course of your freshman year where we're going to have to hit the reset button and say, hey, remember what we talked about. And so this is just an example of that. You know, I think for him as a point guard, particularly, you know, when your team doesn't necessarily have all of your guys, all the more so it's important for you to help your team be organized on the court. And obviously that's much more important in college and much more complicated in college than it is in high school. I think he's, for the most part this year, done a really good job with that. The Baylor game, we weren't as organized, so he and I have spent a lot of time together watching tape and getting ready for this next one.
Along those lines, Iowa State execution different from the Baylor execution. Yeah. You mentioned, you know, not having all the guys, the organization. Do you feel like you need to be more hands-on with those guys in terms of, you know, offensive structure, or
yeah,
do you want them to continue to play with a lot of freedom?
Well, it's a fine line, Dustin. We definitely need to structure and tell them exactly what we want, but then out of that, you got to go play and attack and be a basketball player. There was a play. You know, obviously in the Baylor game, there's a lot of plays we wish we had back, but there was one play in particular we'd love to have again, and we ran some action, did some different things, ended up throwing the ball back to Dylan right on the right side of the top of the key, and he didn't shoot. So that's an example of a time where you want him to play with freedom to go shoot. You don't want him to be a robot. You can't structure it and say, hey, if there's this much time on the clock, exactly shoot. If there's this much drive, if there's this much, hold it. But we have been spending a lot of time in practice on specific execution situations. Obviously with Baylor, it was a lot of zone going into the game, and I thought our guys did a good job against their zone, but then down the stretch they played man-to-man, so you got to be able to execute against both.
What'd you think Jace took away from you know, the first half where they really didn't pay much attention to him, and the second half they paid a lot of attention to him?
Well, you know, it's a great lesson. First of all, I think he took some confidence out of the game in general, being able to score 18 points in the first half, and being able to, it's his first start. You know, I think any guy in his first start playing that well early on, that says a lot. But as you said, after halftime, they made an adjustment. They made it tougher on him. They played more man-to-man. They were a little stickier on him. So it's all about finding other ways to help your team. And I think, you know, he's a hard worker. He's always been a hard worker, but I think he came out of that game with more resolve to say, okay, if people are going to guard me this way, here's different ways I can help my team.
At the same time, his shooting ability, does that give you a dimension that you need, especially maybe in the half-court offense? Definitely,
Chuck. I think, you know, he's a guy, since his first day on campus, he's the best shooter on our team. And he's probably the second best shooter, like potential-wise, in terms of how good he can be, that I've ever coached, at least since I've been a head coach. But those guys, they take time to translate from shooting in a drill to shooting in live play and practice to shooting in the game. So up until the Baylor game, I think he was at like 25% from three, which is, not out of the ordinary for a young guy. So the biggest thing is him gaining a comfort level to let it fly when he's got a good shot, shoot it the right way. I thought he did that in the Baylor game. We've got to build on that, knowing that people are going to fly at him and he's use a shot fake when they do.
In terms of defense in the matchup with TCU, you're talking about a team that shoots the ball extremely well.
Yes.
Based on the stats. How much different are they from last year when you break them down? Because obviously a lot of confidence coming off that NIT.
Yeah, they're older and a year better, a year more experienced. They've added some good pieces, but their core of guys that won that NIT championship is back, and all those guys are a year older and better. Desmond Bain was a freshman last year who, was good for a freshman, but, now he's an all-conference level player. I believe he's leading the league in three-point shooting percentage. So, guys like that, we certainly have to account for. Got to get high hands up on them, but understand that they can drive as well. Kenrich Williams is having a phenomenal year. He's leading them in scoring. And the thing that he does is he creates a lot of matchup issues because he's 6'7" and strong and really rebounds. But he also can step out on the floor. He's added a lot more outside shooting than he had last year. And, of course, Brodzianski, is really, really good inside and crafty. And their guards, are very good in pick and roll. So we've spent a lot of time the last couple of days in practice preparing for the different things that they do offensively in their pick and roll game, in addition to some of the stuff that they run for their bigger guys.